Welcome to another week of life as an independent director of photography, working one-off assignments. This time I am switching from van mode to airline mode. It's been over 100 degrees every day, so I was waiting until the night before I flew out to switch over to Pelican cases. My driveway was still radiating with heat, but I got it all done in about an hour. 3 Pelicans, one of which is over 50 pounds, but I'll check it all as media baggage. Flying up to the northern portion of the United States. For most projects, I check everything. Cameras, lenses, it all goes down below as check baggage. The only thing I carry on is an underseat spinner. Reason being, I get on a lot of regional flights that don't have overhead bin space that'll accommodate a standard roller bag. And in those cases, because I'm filled with batteries, this is 6 gold mounts, 2 gimbal batteries, drone batteries, FX3 batteries, and then some AA rechargeables and a MacBook. It's totally full, and you can see I got my DJI smart controller hanging on the outside, headphones, neck pillow, water bottle. I just don't have the space. I'd end up having to gate check it, and now I'm stuck because I can't gate check because it's full of batteries. Here I am at my destination, waiting to meet up with the rest of the team. 2 people flew in from California. I flew in from Texas. So I had to navigate through the airport initially solo with 3 rollers. I've been using cargo straps to train the cases together. It's a little before 8 in the evening, Fort Wayne, Indiana. First state of 7 on this assignment. I was going to talk a little bit about it tonight, but kind of wiped out from a day of travel, so maybe we'll talk a bit more tomorrow. This is a travel show I've worked on since 2017. These are roll-in packages for an award show that takes place in Las Vegas once a year. It's for the technology industry. So what I do is fly around with a director-producer team, and we shoot the nominee roll-in packages. And we have to maintain a consistent look for each nominee to not be biased for one versus another. So I get in some locations where I could really have the time and opportunity to polish and make a much higher-end look, and then in other circumstances, there's only room and time to do like a one softbox interview. So because I have to be consistent, I have pared down to a single key source, and then I do a negative fill, usually an overhead to cut overhead lighting, and then a boom on a stand, and I carry a lav mic as a backup. But in all these years, I think I've only done maybe 1 interview where I had to go to the lav. This is our first year shooting on the FX9 for interviews and FX3 gimbal for B-roll. Last several years were a Mira and Pocket 6K gimbal. And prior to that, I shot C300 Mark I and a 5D Mark IV on Movi Pro for the B-roll. Prior to that, it was a C300 and C300 on a traveling size slider for the B-roll component. And the DP that shot this show prior to me was one of my mentors, Dan Donnelly. He passed away in 2016, and I've carried the torch on since then. Last few years that Dan shot it, it was a FS7 and a 5D B-roll on a slider. And then when the Osmo, the little pocket Osmo came out, he was shooting a little bit of the B-roll with the Osmo. And before the FS, I think it may have been, gosh, I don't know. I know the first few years were Betacam, all Betacam on an ENG camera. Ended up keying just raw with a newer panel for this particular subject's face. It looked nice, it was soft enough. I got a little bit of neck shadow, but I don't mind it. I've always preferred smaller sources on faces over big soft. I kind of feel like the huge softbox, like the big parabolic dish and the 6x, 8x, 12x frame bounces for corporate interviews. It's like the same trend as the hyper shallow depth of field. Like everything is just shadowless, lifeless, flat, high key lighting, super fuzzed out backgrounds that aren't discernible. I mean, I just like, starts looking like you just have the overhead lights on and it's a green screen and a blurred stock photo for a backdrop. I'm just never been a fan of that. I'd rather be able to paint a little bit more with light, have some ratio, have some negative fill to model faces, and I'm more interested in showing real people. I want to make them look good, but I still want to make them look like real working professionals, not like I'm shooting a makeup ad. My grip and lighting package for this show has evolved down to all inexpensive Amazon purchases. I love these little Matthews mini grip heads. I use that for my boom pole. The boom pole holder is actually a fishing rod holder because they're like half the price of a professional audio branded one. Does the same job. Newer spring clamps. This is a water-filled sandbag or water bag off of Amazon. It's going to be terrible the day it springs a leak, but I carry a few of those and just, fill them up as needed on location. My little Lowell kit stands that are now discontinued. The new ones are crapola, the all black Uni 2s, but the old ones with the yellow castings I really enjoy. FX3, old Ronin S. The only reason I haven't upgraded the Ronin is it ain't broke, so I'm not fixing it. Gets the shots. I do prefer manual focus. I do a lot of reveals off of foreground elements, a wall, a chair, a subject over the shoulder, and I want to be able to selectively focus what I want to be on. This small bag around my waist I purchased to carry a gold mount battery to power accessories on the gimbal, wireless transmitter, a larger monitor, and then in the little zipper area I carry filters, polarizer, and a variable ND. On this particular day I just have spare FX3 batteries in the larger pouch, and I was not running a large monitor or a transmitter for the producer, but on our future assignments I plan to add those on. Shot out B-roll, office setting, and then at the hospital, and then the docs recommended this place downtown for lunch, so we had a nice outdoor lunch. It was so comfortable and sunny and beautiful. Nice little escape from the 100-degree Texas heat. Looking forward to spending more time in the Northeast in the coming weeks. Flew home for a 4-day weekend, got some sessions in at the gym. Got there early. Here are 2 retired Marines in their 50s that are gonna just work me in the midday jiu-jitsu class. I can't keep up.
To be a successful IT leader, I think you need to be able to strike a balance between these difficult competing pressures. We're in an environment where technology is moving faster than it ever has before.
The lone corporate worker, close up of the keyboard shot. I die a little bit every time I get the request to shoot one of those and then see it in the edit, particularly for this package because we are on this beautiful campus at Sweetwater. Got all this killer B-roll. I don't think they used all of it. And so anyway, no need for that keyboard shot. I got lots of other good stuff. This was the first year where we shot the B-roll in slow motion. All past years it's been real time. One of the challenges with these corporate settings is, it's just people having meetings, people working on computers, people in a conference room, people in a lounge area. They're always talking. So I got our main subject that we're profiling, which all the B-roll is including. And I just think it's weird when you cut from real-time interview to real-time of the same person in a meeting talking. So the goal this past year was, let's try shooting it all high speed to see if it's a little less awkward. I need to do a better job of having reaction shots of our hero versus having them talk all the time in the B-roll. But these things move so quick. Like we shoot these packages in 2.5 to 3.5 hours. These are all busy executives at big companies, so they can't give us the whole day, and I wouldn't want to shoot all day with them anyway because, you're going to burn out and look exhausted in the B-roll. So it's a lot of just almost like news gathering or shooting like a real nonfiction documentary. I got to just spray in real time. It's always awkward asking for a take 2, and it doesn't look as sincere.
Somebody who doesn't get stuck and say, I'm just the smartest person in the world. We all are learning every single day. And I really think that if you have those 3 characteristics, we can teach you the rest. Anything beyond that is just a bonus. If you have those components, you're golden. And we have a really, really great retention rate on folks because of that. I'm Jason Johnson, and I am the Chief Information Officer for Sweetwater Sound.
To be a successful IT leader, I really believe that you have to stay.
Here it is. Wait for it. Cut to that beautiful keyboard close up. I know it's coming. All right, I'm going to make a commitment to myself now. I did get 1 keyboard close up. I'm not going to shoot any more coming up. The future venues, I'm going to turn them down. Even when the director asks for them, I'm going to work on finding better abstract shots to cut away to. So this was in Los Angeles. I think it was actually El Segundo. It was near LAX airport. And this interview, as soon as we rolled, I regretted having her framed in front of the staircase. I should have inverted, had her looking the other direction with the negative space being the stairwell. But beautiful campus. What was really odd these last couple years is we go to these nice office campus environments, all very photogenic. They actually shot part of what is it? The most recent Star Wars series was shot in this building. But anyway, there's no office workers here. All the people you see in this B-roll, they brought them in from work from home to be in our shots, which I think Sweetwater last year was the only exception where there are actually people working there full time. I can't believe the commercial real estate market has not already completely imploded. But anyway, beautiful shots. It's a B-roll. I need to also work a little bit more this year on transitional shots where, like, coming off this column, where the start of my frame does not have our hero in frame. I'm revealing to see them. I feel like it just kind of wears on constantly cutting to shots that already have our hero in frame.
To be a successful leader, you have to be a good leader. You really have to treat your workers like your children. If you think about it, as a parent, what do you want for your children? You want to give them opportunities, education, discipline when necessary, and you want to see them succeed. Mattel is an IP-driven toy company. For the 28th year in a row, Mattel is the largest.
This one was also Los Angeles area. I think it was a separate trip in to shoot this one. These were not consecutive. But this was a beautiful building. Like, I could not frame a bad shot. This was like my recent trip up to Montana. Like, this could have been my very first day working as a professional, and I would have succeeded.
A successful IT leader needs to be willing to take risk. I think it's one of the important pieces of the job. Technology moves so fast these days that if you aren't willing...
This one is Denver, Colorado, education facility. And last year, I feel my key lighting on interviews was way too flat and no modeling, no ratio from key to fill. And so this year, I'm trying to be more diligent about having some modeling and some depth to faces. This is a dance I go through with corporate clients where you're always safe to have super flat light on faces. And so I tend to overcompensate for that by initially lighting things more contrasty than I want them, knowing no matter how I light it, I'm going to get a request to flatten things out. And then I can work and compromise. But last year, I mean, we didn't even get into that dance. I just ended up doing it all very flat. And in years past, we'll jump to some of that footage here coming up. I think I did a better job. And one in particular, I took it too far. I think it was a little too dramatic.
And so what we did was found a way to move all the logs into one single...
To be a successful IT leader, I think it really starts first with adaptability. You constantly have to be willing to change.
Boise, Idaho. The keyboards look different up there, don't they? This one was a bit of a challenge because this was just your kind of standard basic office, shades of white and beige, not much going on. The interview looked nice. What saved us is they have this network operations center, and man, we were so fortunate they had this. This was in a different building, but in the same campus and this little engineering area. But beyond that, it was just these high cubes with like little to no art on the walls. And this was actually the nominee that won in 2022. So looking at color here, all this B-rolls, Pocket 6K, interviews on the Amira, was such a winning combo for me the last couple of years. They match and intercut so well. I mean, on a 2-camera interview with those 2 cameras, you can certainly see subtle differences, but I could get away with it. But when you go to B-roll or intercut scenes between Ari and Blackmagic, man, they are so close and they behave similarly. Blackmagic's not as elegant with the shoulder, the roll-off to clipped white, and some shades of blue I find would render a little bit different, but man, it is so close. That was a great little combo. So Pocket 6K, Super 35 sensor area, same for the Amira, and I shot this season, all the B-rolls, just a Canon 24-70 Mark II with the Nucleus N manual follow focus for all of it, and all the interviews are an EF 35mm Canon lens on the Amira. And I have PL glass for the Amira, but just for airline travel and the fact that we only used the Amira for the interview, just standardized on, I carry a 35 and a 50, but shot everything on the 35. 50 was just a backup.
For the 6th year in a row, we are pleased to host you at the Outlier Award Show, where CIO and CTOs who are elevating IT.
Okay, this is rolling the clock back maybe 6 years, maybe 5 years. This location was Irvine, California. 2 C300 Mark I's with cinema PL grade zooms, compact zooms, Canon 15 to 47 and 30 to 105, and a teleprompter on the wide angle camera. I wanted to throw this in here because those are old cameras, but they still hold up and look fantastic. And a 2.8 in Super 35 is plenty soft on the shallow depth of field. Corporate interviews do not need to be full frame at a 1.4. Here's an older package from 2018, or it may have been 2017, but threw this one in because it's in Orlando, Florida. A little shout out to Dave Moorfield, one in your backyard. This is the Drive Shack right by the airport, if it's still there. I shot this one. This was C300 with a 35mm EF prime for the interview. All the B-roll's a Movi Pro with 5D Mark IV. So you can see here, I think both are set to wide DR mode and then color corrected, but the highlights and shadows, it's a little more contrasty, more blown out highlights with all the windows. Not quite as elegant as the newer cameras, and my gimbal skills were not as refined as they are now. Got a little bit more shakiness. My headroom isn't as refined. But overall, again, I say the picture holds up. This particular location was a challenge that year because it had the most ambient light in windows. And I like the ratio on faces. I've got negative fill and a little bit of backlight on the interviews. Different project, same client. This is from 5 years ago. Just an interview. This is the tone mood ratio I like for this client. You know, their technology industry. Feel like we can be a little bit darker, a little bit more contrasty. It's a harder key source. The number one item that bugs me on this one is in the wide shots, there's some specular hit on the subject's forehead. I guess it'd be his top right frame left of his forehead. I should have flagged that. But I got a nice little rim light on the right-hand side, the fill side. The key is hitting both eyes. Got a little bit of nose shadow and a little bit of neck shadow. But again, I like it. Like, this is a technology guy, works in a network operations center. You know, that's kind of the vibe and tone. They're working, looking at screens, interior. To me, these little differences are what make the distinction between being a cinematographer or director of photography over just a videographer, you know, versus the modern day, just throw out a China ball or a 5-foot softbox and roll on your interview. Put a little time to shape and model and match the tone of the subject.